Good morning and welcome back.
Here's what we're focusing on this half an hour.
Are you the crazy person who plays in the snow in a t-shirt?
Yes.
Or the person who puts a sweater on in August?
No.
That's me. Why do some of our bodies run hot and others run cold? We're digging into the science.
Also, we are 3 months into this new year. How are you doing on keeping your New Year's resolutions?
Not good.
Yeah, probably not many of us are doing that well. But you could blame something. It's called false hope syndrome, what it is, and how you might be able to fight back against it.
And a customer took to the internet, as so many people do these days, to complain about something, prices at one John Howie restaurant. And the celebrity chef then did something surprising. He personally replied. What he said explains a lot about eating out today, and he's joining us live later in the show.
T-Mobile showing off its new wearable tech. It tracks your health, your sleep, serves as a human hotspot, and much, much more. Oh, and it's an adult onesie that is magenta colored. Is this real?
I want to see you lift weights.
Oh, that's definitely going to happen. Or did April 1st arrive a day early? Tyler, what do you think?
Full disclosure, I'm a T-Mobile customer and I want one. Real or not, I want one.
All right. Okay.
All right, so we're talking April Fool's Day. It's tomorrow. Love it or hate it. Go to our Facebook page, let us know. And we want to know, what's the best prank someone ever pulled on you?
I'm interested to hear those
We'll read
responses.
those responses.
Pulling any of them on me. But first, you think Amazon's just for online shopping? Psh. We learned this week the company may have much bigger plans for a whole bunch of new physical stores spread all around the globe.
This is a crazy story. While 2 Amazon Fresh grocery pickup locations like this one actually opening in Seattle, we also learned there are 5 more planned in the U.S. just for next year. The company also just opened its 5th bookstore like this one you're seeing here, opening in Chicago. The first one, of course, U Village in Seattle. We've been inside it. It is always crowded. We learned 5 more of these stores in the works for next year as well.
And the New York Times cited confidential sources in this story, Amazon's ambitions unboxed. Stores for furniture, appliances, and more. These new store concepts would focus on items consumers are often reluctant to buy online and would serve as showcases where people could view items in person, with orders being delivered to their homes, reported the Times. This is according to the Times.
Yeah, it's also not just in the U.S. The Economic Times reporting a few weeks ago the company was planning stores in India. The very first one, a grocery store in Bangalore, which is very, very likely, and then potentially more across India. In fact, Amazon's convenience store concept, that Amazon Go store that's beta testing in downtown Seattle, there are plans, according to sources, to open them across the U.K. in Britain as well.
Now, Scott Galloway, a marketing professor at New York University, told the Times this week all of this activity means the company is very serious about opening physical stores at a massive scale. It just hasn't figured out the right formula yet. But when it does, he says it will put nuclear energy behind it. So an Amazon explosion is coming. It will be felt around the world, Travis, which is just crazy.
It is just crazy. Sorry, I'm going to cross behind you here.
We were like, oh, we're going to do that one. Yeah. So did you make a New Year's resolution?
Yes, and I don't even remember what it was.
I know. Actually, when you said that, I'm like, wait, I did, but what was it? Well, 25% of you gave them up within a week. That's according to statisticsbrain.com.
And so now we're nearly 3 months out, and the number probably a lot higher. But why? Well, it's something called false hope syndrome, and it actually may be to blame. So here is the Washington Post story. It's does false hope syndrome make it hard to lose weight? It's a term 2 University of Toronto professors came up with 17 years ago, but one many social scientists believe still exists today.
So what is it? It's what happens when hope, as in making a resolution or a goal of some kind, meets reality, and we've unknowingly set ourselves up for failure by not recognizing the amount or type of work truly needed to accomplish what we've all set out for. Sound familiar? So what is the solution? Lifestyle coach Amber Rochelle is here to break it down for us. Good morning.
Hi, guys.
Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
False hope syndrome, what exactly is it? Why does it derail us?
Yeah, so it's basically when you set a goal and you're really focused on where you are now and where you want to go, but you're not really thinking through all of the steps in between. So you're not really evaluating all of the barriers or the obstacles that might come up, and most importantly, any self-limiting beliefs that you might have that are going to derail you from reaching that goal.
Sounds like it can set us up for failure.
Definitely.
Which a lot of us are dealing with now. I mean, it's April. We're 3 months away from having made these New Year's resolutions. What are you hearing from people in your practice at this point?
It's really hard for people to stick to resolutions, and false hope syndrome is one of the main reasons why. And so a lot of people at this point are frustrated with themselves. They feel like they're failures. They are fed up, and they just give up and let go of their resolutions.
So how do we self-evaluate then at this point in the year and say maybe we could restart it or we could look at something else?
Yeah, so one of the things that I love to recommend to my clients is to look at things with curiosity, not judgment. So it's never motivating to beat ourselves up, right? It's never motivating to be self-critical. And so if we can, instead of saying, oh, I failed at this goal, say, well, why didn't it work for me, right? Was it maybe something that I actually didn't really want that much? Or did I maybe not have the right support systems in place? And so evaluating it from that standpoint, instead of using it as a tool to beat yourself up, is going to help you to be able to reset and recommit to that goal.
I can already feel a lot of people saying, oh, well, but it's April. It's, you know, we don't need to think about these resolutions or goals anymore. What are your recommendations for where we are now for kind of looking ahead? How can we set ourselves up for success as the year continues? We don't need to wait until January of 2018.
Absolutely not. No, you can recommit right now. And again, if you can just be compassionate with yourself and practice a lot of self-acceptance, like goals are hard and changing behaviors and changing habits is really difficult. And so the more that you can be kind to yourself, the more that you're actually going to set yourself up for success. And if you want to recommit to a goal, instead of just looking at point A and point B, start to think about all of the tiny little steps in between and see those as little mini goals. And that way you can celebrate each of those little mini goals, because that's what is motivating, is having those little steps along the way where you can see the progress. But if you're always looking at the end result, then you're not celebrating those little steps, and it can be hard to continue to motivate yourself to move forward.
Why is it easier for us, though, to focus on that big goal and then ignore that we are having these little successes? It just, our mind doesn't work like that.
It's hard. You have to continually remind yourself to come back and to celebrate the small steps. We're sort of programmed to think about the end goal because that's what we really want, right? And so we oftentimes feel like we're failures if we haven't met it yet. But for example, if you're looking to, say, lose 20 pounds and you've already lost 10, that's amazing, right? The more that you can celebrate each little goal that you're meeting, the more you're going to feel more confident and more empowered, and that's going to motivate you to move forward.
It's not too late to recalibrate, it sounds like. So even if it's April and we're starting to feel really bad about ourselves, it's about changing our perspective.
Yes, definitely. Don't give up on your goals just because you haven't made them yet. Again, don't use this as a tool to say that you're a failure, but look at it as, what could I do differently? How can I set myself up for success?
Forgive yourself for the false hope syndrome,
yes.
and then take the first step.
Yes.
Right. Okay. I like it.
Amber Rochelle, thank you so much. We always love having you on.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
And your website is amberrochelle.com for lots more information and lots more great advice from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So here is a question. Does your body run hot or does it run cold? All of our bodies seem to do one or the other. Now we know every human not running a fever has an internal temperature programmed at 98.6 degrees. So why are some of us just always hot and others cold? We dug into this. It can actually depend on things happening in different parts of your body. So let's start at the top. Your head. Stress triggers your fight or flight reflex, and the blood actually is drawn into the core of your body by your brain. In some people, that makes them feel hot. In others, it actually makes them feel cold. Now, to your mouth. If you eat spicy food, that actually stimulates the same receptors on your skin that tells your body whether you're hot or cold, so it might change what you're feeling. Caffeine, too, can change your perception of how hot or cold you are. Now let's go down to your feet and your hands. If they are hot or cold, even by 1 or 2 degrees, it can signal to the rest of your body that you're either hot or cold, and your brain can't really tell the difference, despite what your core temperature is. So being in good shape, also, I'm sorry to tell you, it's great to be in good shape, but significant muscle mass raises your metabolism, and that can raise your overall body temperature very easily. So the fact that I am sweating right now is because I'm in such good shape, right?
Yes, it is. And that's why this studio is always kept so cold, because the men of the studio are always hot and we are freezing. We have a space heater underneath the anchor desk.
And that is because apparently the science says that the estrogen in your body keeps the blood flowing throughout your hands and your feet. And since these are the big receptors that tell the rest of our body, are we hot or are we cold, the blood flowing in you means you're a little more accurate than we are.
Darn hormones. Oh, but I like that you said we're more accurate than you are.
I'm sorry.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'm going to call you out a little bit, Travis. You made a startling confession on our show last week. It led to a pretty hot debate on your Facebook page. Refresh our memory. When is it that you make your bed?
It's not in the morning. It's right before I go to bed. I want to get into a nice, clean, well-made bed. So I make it and then I just unmake it and get into it.
And what do people on Facebook say?
Actually, a lot of people say that I'm not crazy. You and Tyler said I was crazy and that you couldn't believe that I did this. But there were a lot of people on on Facebook who were like, I do the same thing. And it's interesting. I was like, look, I'm not alone.
No, and in fact, you might be onto something and you're smarter than the rest of us. Now, this research has been out for a while, but in the wake of this becoming a hot topic again, it bears repeating. Some scientists believe keeping your bed unmade is actually healthier. A study out of Kingston University in the UK revealed these bugs, which can number well over 1 million. I know, yay, dust mites, bugs. 1 million in an average bed. They love a warm, damp with sleep sweat place to live, and they're connected to asthma and other allergies. I think I speak for all of us when I say ick. So throwing off the covers once you're out of bed allows the bed to cool down and dry out, making it less than ideal for those bugs. So you're right, but I'm curious. I can hear parents watching going, what are you telling my kid? What does your daughter do? What are the rules in your house for your daughter making her bed?
Well, we're not sleeping in a big kid bed just yet, so we're in a toddler bed. But no, I don't make her bed, because I figure if I'm not making her bed, I can't tell her to make her bed either.
Lucky kid.
Yeah.
You know that she's going to bring that lesson to school.
Probably. So I'm sorry to all of her friends and
No,
their
but you're
parents.
keeping her healthy, it sounds like.
Trying to keep those bugs at bay. So coming up, a complaint by a customer about the price of a meal at one of celebrity chef John Howie's local restaurants. And that complaint, well, it sparked a reaction from him. He decided to write back in a very personal way, getting pretty passionate. The chef actually going to join us live on the couch here to share some truth about why a burger and fries costs you what it does.
Super interesting. Can't wait to talk to him. And Tyler, we're asking people on Facebook whether they like April Fool's Day or not. What are you hearing so far?
People seem to like it. Cheryl says she made a cake out of foam rubber and frosted it, put it in the break room, and watched as people walked up and were very disappointed one morning. We've got a few responses, but we need a lot more, so we can read them on the air later in the show.
Join us on Facebook Live.
Welcome back. You know, a lot of us have looked at a menu at a restaurant and I think, that's a bit much for a sandwich.
But local chef John Howie has a pretty interesting response to one customer who complained on Yelp about the prices at Bothel's Beardsley Public House. There's actually a part of the review right now on your screen. We're going to read it to you. I used to love this place. I'm sitting here at Beardsley now disgusted with their current price hike. I have one question for the owner. Do you want to alienate your faithful customers? And that comes here 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah, she went on to say, congratulations, after today I will never come back. Your disregard for your community and clients in an effort to make a buck because you are now popular won't fly. I am 100% sure that others will take my stance based on your food and beer items that are overpriced. Chef Howie then took to his blog to respond to her. He basically said, look, there are a lot of business costs associated with owning a restaurant.
He broke down some of the numbers. 25 employees on any given day, requiring to pay those employees $11 an hour, not complaining about it, just saying that's where we live. Plus 25% for payroll taxes, Medicare insurance. I mean, I think there are a lot of costs here that a lot of folks didn't realize existed.
We don't even consider it. He goes down to break down a lot of the operation costs for rent and food, all the way down to things like office supplies and dishes.
He says, look, at the end of the day, it's not like he's rolling around in money. Legitimate business owner, employs 90 people, needs to make a profit, but also wants to help the community. So, joining us this morning, Chef John Howie himself.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Brave on your part to do this, really, to be so honest.
Well, you know, I think it's part of speaking out to the community and making sure that they understand that we as restaurant owners out here, we give a lot, and I'm not alone. Most restaurant owners give a lot. And we need to show people, you know, that it does cost to have a business like this.
You also made an interesting point in your response, which was, look, like the ingredients that we use, the quality of what we use, that does drive prices up. Tell us a little bit more about that aspect of this.
Well, it makes a difference. So if you're using a bunch of frozen products, it's going to cost less to do that. Where in our case, we make everything from scratch. And so not only does it cost us for the high quality product like the USDA prime beef, but then we make our buns in-house. There's somebody there getting paid to do that, where we're not just buying them from a bakery somewhere.
Let's talk about the living wage. I mean, I think some restaurant owners before it passed were worried about it. Some have come out and said they were against it. That's not what you seem to be saying here at all. You say we're willing to pay this, but people need to know it.
It's definitely not what I'm saying. I think there should be a living wage for people, and it's important that we are able to pay it. But it's going to cost to do that. And that's really where the additional costs came from this year, that we had to take a price hike this year, was that we passed the law, and it was overwhelmingly passed in Washington State. And so I think that's great, but there has to be a place to put that. I can't just pay for it myself and figure out how to live.
Did this customer respond to your response, and have you heard from other members of the community?
We have heard from an amazing amount of members of the community have been very positive on this. As a matter of fact, we had probably 6 tables in Beardsley just the other night that came in to support us. Wow. Because they read it. But the customer who had made this complaint, she's actually taken down her review. And didn't respond, but took down her review.
Yeah.
So maybe that was her way of saying, you know, okay, I'm all right with it now.
Yeah. Have you heard from other restaurateurs or folks who are in the restaurant industry? I mean, you must have heard from them.
A lot. Yeah. A lot of people. Yesterday, I was walking into John Howie's Steak after I'd been at Beardsley for a while, and there was some restaurateurs out front, and they said, you know, thank you for doing this. It's really shed light on who we are as an industry and why we need to charge what we need to charge. And again, people have choices, and each restaurant has different costs. So they represent what they're going to charge on their menu. If you're paying more in rent for one place than another, you might be less expensive. And if that's concerning to a guest, then choose where you want to go. There's lots of choices. But if you're going to go to my restaurant, you're going to find stuff that's made from scratch, the highest quality stuff that you can serve, and you're going to get a great experience because we want to keep our people in-house, so we pay them well, and they do a great job taking care of our guests.
I want to take advantage of having you here to get kind of a broader perspective on review sites like Yelp and the way that restaurants interpret them and read them and react to them. I will say, I'm going to step into this woman's shoes for a moment. I will say I have been tempted many a times. It feels good to have an experience somewhere and to go somewhere and tell everyone, hey, everyone, this is how it was for me, and this is how it is, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I have been tempted to do I've been tempted to do that before. So as an owner of several restaurants in the area, what do you make of those reviews? How do you interpret them, and how do you normally respond?
Well, first of all, we're going to read the review. If I believe that it has validity and it's something that we need to fix, we're going to apologize, we're going to tell them how we're going to fix it, and we're going to respond. We respond to positive reviews and we respond to negative reviews because we want them to know we're listening. It's our guests. They're the ones who are going to keep us alive. They're the ones who are paying the bill. So we want to make sure we listen to them. Now, if someone, I believe, is unreasonable in something, I may or may not respond. But if they're reasonably trying to converse with me, I'm going to talk back and tell them what I think or tell them how we're going to fix it. I think it's important.
What do you think the one thing that a customer, maybe this customer or any customer who's like worried about prices, what would you want them to hear from this conversation and what you wrote?
Well, clearly that you have a choice. And we may not be that choice because we're going to have to charge what we have to charge. And I think people feel like restaurants, you just go buy the food, you put it on the plate, and there you go. I could do that at home, right? Well, no, you really can't. You'd have, I mean, I listed most of them in my blog, and you can see what the costs are. There's a lot of costs that people don't think about, including marketing and most of which comes, you know, in food and people is our biggest costs. But then there's rent. And there's other things, and there's just a lot of costs.
You're kind of leading by example, you and several other restaurateurs in the area, by being members of the community, being active members of the community. Why do you think that's so important, other than just being a business owner, to actually be actively involved? Well,
you know, I always wanted to give back when I started my company. And I think really the reason I responded to this individual was because they said that you don't really care about your community. And that kind of hit me right in the heart, because I was one of the first people to respond when the fires happened in Bothell, bringing stuff for the first responders. The very next Monday, we did an in-house fundraiser for some of the businesses that were going to be devastated. And you know what? It's important for us to give back to our community because we want to live in a great community that does that. And I think you find almost every restaurateur, especially the chefs in the community that own restaurants, they do that. And they do it at a very high level.
John Howie, thank you for being so public and honest about this. I think it really does help educate customers, restaurateurs, just voters in general about the challenges of the restaurant industry. We hear the headlines, but I think hearing from you matters.
Well, you know, it's going to continue because we've got levels that are going up the next few years. So you're going to see some price increases. It's got to come somewhere.
Well, it's nice to hear from the other side of all these Yelp reviews that so many of us read. So
well, thank you.
Thank you so much. We
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it. Well, coming up next, T-Mobile says they are introducing a hot pink adult onesie that serves as a human hotspot and a full-body alarm clock, plus a lot more. Is this wearable tech gone too far, or is this an early April Fool's Day joke?
So would you believe we actually have one of these? I'm pulling it out of the box as we speak. Look at this.
Yay!
The thing is, I might actually put this on during the break, and when we come back,
Might?
we'll see. In the meantime, here's your Friday trivia.
Take a look. We do not know the answer, but we will reveal it coming up at the other side of this break.
Take a look at your screen. Friday trivia. We do not know the answer. The average person does this 20 times a day.
Oh, I'm gonna guess rolls their eyes.
I think complains.
Okay, what's the answer, B? Producer Bavisha.
Complains!
Hey, congrats! That's 2 weeks in a row
Look
for
at that!
you.
Look at that!
Getting it right.
That's exactly right.
I love it. Gosh, how do I say this? You might wonder, why is Travis
what?
wearing a onesie?
Something's up.
What?
Something
What?
is, don't you think?
Something's up.
Tyler?
The thing is that wearable technology is all the rage, and now T-Mobile just going big. They're making this huge move into the world's first full body wearable. Shall I walk out here and you can see?
Can I do the hood? This is important.
It is important. Take a look at this. I'm like the pink Power Ranger here or something.
Kind of like a bunny suit. Easter's coming up.
Yeah, it's like Ralphie.
So not only does this T-Mobile onesie fitness tracker do that, track my full body fitness supposedly. Take a look at this. Like I can press this button right here and it like lights up and flashes right on my...
Oh, that's attractive.
I know, right? Yeah. It'll track all of my movements and my vital signs. It also has a night light on it, like right there. Breathing, body position,
Bluetooth?
way too much information. It actually serves as a hotspot for everybody around me, so you can get better signal.
Wait, so I could get out my iPad and just like connect to Wi-Fi with this?
We would just link up like this.
Perfect. I can sense it working, Travis.
I know, right? Don't you have better signal as we speak?
Yeah.
Yes, there's the quick starter guide. Our friends at T-Mobile sent us this.
What do you think, Travis?
Do you believe it?
Why, yes, I do.
Tyler,
Yes.
do you believe it?
I'd love to believe it, because I want one, and I think it's amazing.
April Fools.
April Fools.
Of course it is.
It's not
April
real.
Fools.
What
but
about
it is
April
amazing.
Fools over on Facebook?
Yeah.
So it's kind of mixed whether people like it or not, but there is a good story I want to share with you guys. Andrea says, with the help of his wife, moved boss's truck and filled it with balloons and bright pink window writing. He in return industrial plastic wrapped the car. So it was a little back and forth. So I think that's more fair.
Yeah.
If both parties are kind of
Yeah.
interested in it, because not everyone loves April Fools, especially us in the media.
Yes, because who knows?
We don't want to get tricked.
We don't want to get tricked. That's
Yeah.
bad. Do you guys like it?
I didn't, to be honest, in my
Not my
30s, but
favorite.
now that my kid's grown up, I think I'm gonna like it.
I like
And
it on the
this-
weekend.
This makes me
This is
really...
fantastic.
This is incredible.
What if the
T-Mobile.
April Fool is that it's not April Fool's
Right, what if this
and
is
it's
real?
and boy, are you going to feel silly.
Thank you, T-Mobile. This is fantastic. So much fun.
Have a good weekend.